pair in space, which means it moved over -2 and it went down -2√3 when you create the right triangle. So you've got two sides of a right triangle, -2 and -2√3, which means what's your hypotenuse? 4. Very good. It's a 30, 60, 90. Oh, look at that. It's a 60-degree reference angle. And you're trying to find the cosine value at that 60-degree, which is your adjacent over hypotenuse. It's -1/2. We always give you 1/2 just because it's a cosine value of a 60-degree. But since it's dropped to the third quadrant, the cosine's negative.
What you said those arrows are for the terminal side, but what do they help with?
It tells you what direction you're going to go. This one was looking for the negative value. I'm not going to make you do that because you still have to use. You're still using the same. It's still going to be the same angle. It's just we always group coming off terminal side.
Oh, because you don't know which quadrants you're using. Okay.
That's all.
It's adjacent over hypotenuse, right?
What? Are you coding Star Trek? Are we coding Star Trek too?
Make up your own.
That's con. That's con.
I did cheat.
That's not con.
I just. No one else here, Mike.
I almost did it.
I heard it.
I cheated in the first one. I showed up.
Olivia, you had a question. What can I help you with?
The field are not a clean area. The area of
Arc length. Arc length was r times theta.
That'd be a good one.
Wait, what is S?
Arc length.
Oh.
And then the area was 1/2.
R squared times negative.
Okay, but what's the theta?
That's
I
actually
couldn't
my
figure
favorite
it
one.
out. Can you just like multiply by the theta?
Wait, something like in that problem?
Yeah. Like in that's like the crust.
Just like a measurement.
But like, do you multiply by pi over 2 or like?
No, arc length is the distance on the edge of the circle.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the angle? What's the radius?
The radius is 12 centimeters, and I completed the radius of pi over 2.
And so it's not divided by 180?
Okay. So you have 144 over 4, which is 36 pi. Done. That's it.
Oh, that's easy.
That's all there. The what? Yeah, theta will be a radian. Yes.
Radioactive.
12 squared.
Yeah, but what about 1/2?
What's half of that? 72. What's half of that? 36. 1/2 times this 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. So I just divide by 4. That's all. Straight calculator work. Your calculator won't keep things in terms of pi, so if you have to do that, just leave the pi out, do all the calculations, and slap a pi in it. Yay! Yay! What else you got? The probability questions are in that packet that these files we're just coming off of are awful. Tell Lincoln about that. Go over your tests. The old tests and stuff like that. But you guys got all that stuff back. That's the complexity we're looking at. Right? I got yours. I'll give it to you. Yeah. Well,
what do we do?
What else was there? I can't think of it. Yes, sir.
For the law of cosines, is it what's called a squared? I mean, c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 times the.
Yeah, this one came up earlier today. Number 51. In order to solve the triangle, you have to use the law of cosines. And when you use the law of cosines, the rule is that you always want to solve for, if you have all sides, you want to always solve for the largest possible angle first. By solving for the largest possible angle, By solving for the largest possible angle, you're kind of alleviating the possibility of that secondary triangle pop that can happen. Especially, what's nice is that if your first angle that you find winds up being obtuse, you know that there is no way that you're going to get a secondary triangle. Because that second angle, its supplement will already be too big to put together with the other obtuse angle.
Yeah.
Okay, so making sure you guys kind of follow that
Time out.
here.
How would you do the law of cosines if you have no way to use, there's no angles to use that final cosine bit on?
Well, you have to find that angle. This is the example I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Which of these angles is going to be the largest? Hey, so which angle am I going to solve for? Law of cosine says your side and the angle that you're working with are the two that you have on the outer edges. Everything else just the same pattern. So it's going to be b squared plus c squared minus the 2bc cosine for that. Was it 57, I think? I don't remember. So as you start filling in the blanks here, you wind up with 29 squared is 12 squared plus 21 squared, 2 times 12, 21, cosine. Okay. This now becomes a straight calculator problem.
Or another J.
What's that? I just caught that. It's like 3 for 3 now. No one.
Making up for
That's
lost
another
row.
straight.
This is a calculator problem, not a gender specific, gender
Gender
neutral.
specific would mean you're saying that, like, this is a boy calculator problem.
All right, this is a sexual preference free calculator.
Well, it's not really a preferred.
Is that better?
It's not a choice, so you can't say preferred.
Anyway, so I'm going to type in 29 squared.
Shut up.
I'm Gurgio and I say privilege.
And I'm going to subtract the 12 squared and the 21 squared. And I get some crummy dust, or not crummy. So this much here, this 256 equals negative 2 times 12 times 21 cosine A. Which means I have to divide it by all those parts. So now in the calculator again, our neutral, I divide that.
Are these, what are these two, are they 256?
Yes. So now I divide that by parentheses negative 2 times 12 times 21. And I get crummy decimal.
Yes.
Crummy decimal now equals the cosine of A. When you're using law of sines, law of cosines, you still have to be in degrees because triangles are in degrees. All I have to do is hit second cosine of your answer, and you should get 102 point something-ish. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, can you like write it out? What
I got one
problems, like
I got
what
one
problems
problem.
type that it needs to be like
one
reading what
Basically, everything that you ever were allowed to use a calculator for is degrees. The only thing that you ever have to worry about radian measure, if you're looking at it, if you want to look at a graph, is generally when you're looking at the graphs of trig functions. That's really the only time you have to worry about radians. You were never using a calculator when you hit sine, cosine, and tangent. You hit those buttons before when you're solving the triangles. You had to be able to use a calculator to do that. I mean, I could have given you trig tables and made you multiply out by hand, but that's unique. Triangles, anything that deals with a triangle will always be in degrees. If you're in circles, then we're dealing with radians. Okay? Because then you're looking at, you know, what's the cosine of 60 degrees? Then it was like pi over 3. And we were doing something like that. That's it. Or, yeah, you know what I mean. Things like that.
So it's 120?
Whatever the answer is. That gives me that angle, but once you figure out that first angle, then you use law of sines to figure out the next angle. It's faster to use lost signs then. Okay. That's how that works. And like I was saying with the calculator, all I did was I was just doing multiple parts at once, just by moving things around to solve the easy. Okay. What else we got?
One of the
Well, I think we're going to try to make today.
That what number is it?
I mean, granted, I didn't really try that hard
Someone say you don't try that hard.
Didn't wasn't there a formula?
There was.
There was a formula for the area of a triangle with side angle side, wasn't there?
Yes, it's 1/2 base times, oh wait, not, side times side times the sine of the included angle.
So what was it?
1/2 times the two sides times the sine of the included angle.
You almost had each other. There's no base on
For a side angle side scenario, there's your answer. If you forgot how to do that, you have an isosceles triangle, could you just do that?
Yes.
Bisect your angle,
Yeah.
and then use trig?
Yeah.
You could use SOHCAHTOA to do that as well.
But if it's not isosceles, I would
Okay.
so many formulas on this test.
That'd be fine.
It's in my notes.
He's not going to because he doesn't like it.
Maybe to prove that you're nice,
But he's not.
you could give us the formula. But he's not nice.
Please tell me about your
People have questions about math. It doesn't matter about me as a 10-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
What? You haven't seen the pictures already going around?
I tried not to watch them so that I can like save it all for now. So I can see the real thing.
Is it squared?
What do you mean?
The area and the triangle.
Remember, Zach, there's not going to be, if there's 4 questions, you'll have, all the labels will be squared. I don't think I'll put one on there that says kilometers cubed. That's just really neat.
Why is that?
I would,
That's for volume, though.
yeah, I know, but a lot of times you'll have the same value, but then they'll change the, bless you.
The ones following those, I had trouble catching on yesterday, how to graph the functions.
When you're graphing those things, start thinking about with a multiple choice test, and you're looking at trig value, you're probably looking at what's the period amplitude.
They're having fun. Let's just see what they're doing.
Let's go see what they're doing. When you're dealing with graphing,
Thomas
guys,
is cheating.
when you're looking at the graph stuff, first of all, this one slipped by here. This is a half angle on that tangent. Don't worry about it. You won't have to do a half angle. You'll do that next year. So this, just think of this as just tangent of 2 theta maybe, instead of 1/2. I'm not going to, no, I don't even do 2. Just cross it out. Anyway.
You told us how to graph it, though. Like, you showed Lincoln and I, and it's
Yeah, 'cause it's technically, it should be, the 1/2 should be out in front of it. But since it's divided, it's a weird setup. You still figure it out. What I'm looking at here on like something like 56 is that you have the generic equation, but your b value is not outside the parentheses. We always dealt with our b values being outside of the parentheses. So what you would have to do in order to figure out what your period and your amplitude is to rewrite it. This will be 3 cosine of 3.
Yeah, we did, but I had.
When we pull out that 3, I'm taking that, dividing this out by a 3 as well, so it becomes minus 2 pi over 9. So you have an A, B, H, and K now. Your A value is 3, your B value is 3. That tells you your amplitude is 3. Since our amplitude value, or excuse me, our A value is positive 3, and this is a cosine graph, without looking at the shift point here, where is it going to start? 0 or 3? 3. Cosine starts at the top and works its way down like this. Now, the period part, your period is 2 pi over b. So it's 2 pi over 3. That's how I'm able to find my period. After that, there's really not much else you have to be able to do aside from look at what the graph does. If you want to look at what the graph does in your calculator, that's fine. It will do it. You just have to make sure that you are in radian mode when you do it. When you open up your calculator in the y equals function, you have to remember to put, once you hit cosine, the parenthesis always opens. You got to put that 3 value inside it. That's the only thing I'd be careful of. Okay? We did. I just want to re-show.
How can you can take the 3 out, that's not the 3 should distribute them to the 2 pi over 3 as well? Like, how can you take it out when you write it?
It is coming out. Because if I take the 3 out, I took a third out of this as well. Because if I distribute this back in, it becomes 3 theta, and then it's 2 times 3 over 9, so the 3's cancel, and you get... It's grouping. I'm just using the associative property by pulling stuff, like using, what is that called? Yeah, distributed, sorry.
You look to me like
So that's how that would look. And remember, with multiple choice, it's kind of like, well,
Easy.
yeah, you can't really, it's not like I'm going to critique on your shift points or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when trying to find the value to draw the graph, right, how do you do it? Because you said you're not going to go for like decimal exactly like that.
No, you can't do it. You can't do a multiple choice question like that. Think about it. How am I going to get a multiple choice question where it's going to ask you for one answer of what a graph looks like? You know, I could ask you which one of these has these points, you know, working backwards using the trig modeling, where you had the sinusoidal graph where you had to put the values in. Or remember how we did that by hand, just looking at your maximum minimum value. That's very easy to do.
Well, those I never really caught on to finding the max and mins. Like, how exactly to find them. I know where to go in them, but I know where to go in the calculator, but in terms of that, I don't know exactly where to stop it and if I can write values or not.
Oh, no. You didn't use the calculator to do that. You were thinking something different. We did max and mins last year when we looked at minimum values of parabolas and stuff like that. We're talking about if I had a max min value ordered pair set for trig values. That was what, section 14 something? Is it this? No. Flash drive.
All those files on one flash drive.
Yeah. Probably. That was these things. Oh yeah. Those. You should. It was something like this, where you're given the 2 ordered pairs and then write out the sinusoid with the max at A and minimum at B. So when you go through this, you're looking at a single spot. You plot it out, 0 and 8, and then pi and -2. So it went from here to here. At 0, if it's its maximum, what function is it? Cosine. So you know that this has to be a cosine function. You also know that something occurs, your symmetry line, your shift line occurred. So all it is, what's the midpoint of 8 and -2?
It's
3. So I know that there's a shift upward of 3. So there's a vertical of 3. And now to get your A value, remember your A value moves you up from your 0 line, which is our vertical shift, up to your amplitude. How much was A? In this case, this is K is 5. So your A value is 5, your K value is 3. we know that going from here to here is half of our graph. So to get back up the other way, it has to be up at 2 pi. So that means our period is 2 pi. Remember, we always doubled that distance. Our period is 2 pi, which means what's your b value? Your b value happens to be 1, because period is 2 pi over b. Your period is 2 pi, it means your b value is 1. So then you know you can just put it all together. It's, let's see, a, so it's 5 cosine of x. Then we had a shift of what, minus 3? So we had, oh, we didn't have a horizontal, so it's just x. And then we had a plus 3.
And the question,
Oh, it would be right in front of the x here, so just do
the question would list a bunch of like equations, and it would be like find a certain point on the graph. Oh, that's why.
because we never did that.
Yeah, that's why it was.
Yeah. But that's a legitimate question.
I remember
The structure of
Yeah,
it.
the midpoint, but well, with the sign graph, I forgot the step to take it back.
Do the exact same thing. Sine graph just starts at 0 instead of starting at its maximum.
Yeah, but let's say you don't do like a midpoint, do you?
They do. You do the same thing. The difference between the sine and the cosine graph is that the sine value will start at a 0 value. The cosine starts at its maximum or its minimum. Yeah, look at